Since you were a kid, you've found numbers useful for lots of things, like knowing when there are 2 sheep, or opening up presents on Christmas morning and finding that you now have 3 new trucks to play with. And numbers have even been useful for helping you add things together, like 4 bananas and 1 orange equaling 5 pieces of fruit. But then one day your teacher walks into school and says, "What about negative numbers?" And you're like, what? And your teacher's like, "Yeah, numbers that are below 0. And now you're thinking, haha, right, like I can have -3 pencils. And your teacher goes, exactly. That's what you get when you have 2 pencils and take away 5 of them. And now you're probably thinking really hard or not really sure, or maybe even sad or surprised in some way. Because you've always thought of numbers along this line. And this line was really useful because it could help you do things like 2 plus 3, because you would start at 2 and you would count 3 spaces and find that you ended up at 5, so that 2 plus 3 equaled 5. And you also found that this number line would help you fill in gaps in math problems, like 5 plus some number equals 9 meant you could start at 5 and see how many spaces you needed to count. 1, 2, 3, 4. And so that 5 plus 4 spaces must equal 9. So 5 plus 4 equaled 9. And this set of numbers on a number line even helped you do subtraction, like 8 minus 3. You knew you could start at 8, and this time go to the left 3 spaces and find out that 8 minus 3 must equal 5. But today your math teacher is asking you to do 3 minus 5. And at first you're like, oh yeah, sure, that's not a problem. I'll start at 3. I'll go left 5 spaces. 1, 2, 3. And now you know what to do. And you're like, I give up. But what if the number line didn't stop at 0? What if there were these numbers on the other side of that line, and that these numbers were negative numbers? Now when you try to do 3 minus 5, you have somewhere to go. You start at 3, you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces, and you find that 3 minus 5 must equal -2. And now you can even do this sentence where a number is missing. What number plus 9 equals 3? Because after practicing with it a little bit, you find out that if you start at -6, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and count 9 spaces, you do get to 3. So that must mean that -6 plus 9 equals 3. And not only that, but you can start doing these strange addition problems like -8 plus 3, because if you start at -8 and add 3 to it, you stop at -5. Or even stranger than that, these subtraction problems where you start at -1 and go to the left 4 and get to -5. And then you start to think, that's pretty cool. And not only that, but you start to realize, hey, I've seen this other places. I know that 4 under par in golf, well, that means -4 is my score. And that if I have $5 and then give $10 to someone else, that means I have -$5. I'm now in debt. Or that if I'm falling from the sky out of a plane or with a bungee cord attached to my ankles, that I'm rising negative feet. And once you start to realize that, things become a little bit clearer. And now when your teacher comes in and says, what about negative numbers? You're going to say, negative numbers. That's easy as pie.